Crimson Desert and The Witcher 3 have two of my favorite maps. They are both fantasy games with slightly problematic combat mechanics. Exploration is the highlight in both for completely different reasons. Crimson Desert's biggest strength, in my opinion, is the world, the scale of the map, and it feels like one big map. When you get to higher ground, you can see different parts of the map in a way I haven't experienced before. The first time I saw the Crimson Desert in Crimson Desert was from almost all the way across the map. I could see this huge red wasteland that was hours away, and if you turn around from the same place, you can see the snow-capped mountains on the other side. Once I experienced that, I didn't mind the huge loading time. The game world and its diversity is one thing you will not be disappointed with. It's big, it's not broken down into multiple sections. You can travel anywhere you want from the beginning itself, but if you aren't leveled up, you are gonna die, and in some places you can't even get through without proper gear. Visually, the world is a treat to look at. When The Witcher 3 came out 11 years ago, I felt the same way. Crimson Desert has a few performance issues, but it's not Cyberpunk or Watch Dogs. Graphics wise, there is very little to complain. Trees and textures pop in at times, but with the scale of the map, I can look past it, especially because it has just come out. It's big, it looks great, but it's not very interactive. The environment is interactive. You can pick up stuff and throw them at people, you can cut down trees. When you slash at walls, you'll see slash marks, but interacting with NPCs is just not good. If you're expecting Witcher 3 or Kingdom Come or Red Dead levels of immersion, you are gonna be disappointed. Talking with NPCs is pretty much useless. You can greet anyone you want, by that I mean go stare at them until they start talking, and then the NPC will start yapping about the most random things. By the way, it's not a two-way conversation. Here's how it goes. Cliff will start staring to initiate the conversation. The NPC will yap non-stop about a random thing. Cliff will continue staring. Then the NPC will walk away. That's it. That's the level of interaction you get with NPCs most of the time. So while the game looks absolutely unbelievable, seriously, it is beautiful. When it's sunny, it looks amazing. When it's dark, it looks great. I love how the lantern lights up the area around you. Cloudy weather is a hit or miss. Sometimes it looks flat and dull, and on other occasions it looks cool in a moody sort of way. So yeah, exploration is fun just because of how well the world is built, not because of any interesting side quest or random encounters or NPCs. The Witcher 3 came out in the beginning of the era of open world games being truly massive. In fact, this game inspired countless open worlds, Assassin's Creed, KCD among others. Crimson Desert looks like The Witcher, but when you play it, the vibe is just different. Witcher's map is huge, not as big but just as diverse as Crimson Desert. But the main charm of the continent was the people and monsters inhabiting it. I'm sure I've explored every nook and corner because I just could not get enough of these side quests. The Witcher is anti-fantasy in a way. Nothing is as it seems. Monsters aren't heartless beasts. Usually it's the opposite. Some of these quests are a headache in the best possible way. You end up having to make a tough decision, maybe choose what's good for the majority while ruining one innocent life, or the other way around, a decision that seems right but down the line will end bad. Random encounters and quality side quests aren't rare anymore, but in 2015 they were pretty special. One year all you had for side stuff was chasing feathers, and then you had this. Being a Monster Hunter game, basically you have contracts which should be just boss fights, right? But no, nothing can be basic in this game. Every little thing has history and makes you care. If you take all this out of the map, you still have a huge, beautiful, diverse world that can rival most games coming out now. Crimson Desert is one of those games that has a better game world, at least on the surface. It looks better, it feels more lively. That's the reason this game was hyped up so much, but once you play it, you'll realize it's not as lively as it seems. The Witcher 3 wins this round. Combat is the worst part of The Witcher 3 in my opinion, especially now it feels dated and basic. Boss battles can be fun, fighting different monsters keeps things fresh, they have different attack patterns, different abilities. Once you understand all the mechanics, oils, potions, signs, bestiary, mutagen, skills, all of them gel together very well. If you just look at sword fighting mechanics, it is average at best. But prepping for a fight, looking up the monster, using the right oil, figuring out a strategy, not just sticking to Quen, all that makes combat almost great. You can force yourself to use these elements or you can play on deathmatch, where either you will use these elements and progress or you will know not to eat yellow snow when the white frost comes, because you will be staring at the loading screen way too many times. Crimson Desert's combat doesn't lack for style at all. It feels like an RPG, like an MMO, like a typical action adventure. It has some issues, most of which I feel can be fixed pretty quickly. Locking in, for example, responsiveness, there is almost always a lag when you're blocking. Cliff is like Geralt in that both of them are pretty rough to control. Nothing compared to Roach though. Combat isn't shallow. At the start of the game, it has plenty for you to learn and master. As you go along, you learn a whole lot more. Grappling and magic. Even with a lot of combat mechanics, it still feels simple, which is good. That's not the case for other gameplay elements in this game though. Combat is the second best thing after exploration. It's all style all the way through. If you're in the starting area, it is more button mashing, but once you move away from the main area and face stronger enemies, combat feels way better. It's more tactical, fights don't end in seconds. You have to think even against a single higher level enemy. Crimson Desert has the better combat, not by a lot, but it is definitely better. If you've noticed, there is a pattern forming here. Once you go out and explore, the game gets better. Combat is more challenging, forcing you to use everything you've learned. Once you start exploring, you get away from the downright average main story. That's the biggest bug, which gets us to the main campaign. It's safe to say The Witcher 3 is leagues above Crimson Desert in anything involving characters, writing, and the overall plot. So let's skip over that and look at the mission structure. Unfortunately, Crimson Desert falls short here as well. Quests are very basic, very repetitive. The game tells you to go meet someone, that someone will again talk for a while. All one-sided by the way. Cliff will stand and stare awkwardly. The NPC sends you somewhere. You'll fight a few bandits. Then you investigate this area by holding a lantern and pointing it at objects or animals in the area. Then you see a memory cosplaying out what happened and you go back report to the NPC you met earlier. This is the mission structure for pretty much half the game. Even if it wasn't repetitive, I'd still be bored. This is just not immersive in any way. On the other hand, you have a game with quests ranging from investigation, which isn't great here either. You follow tracks and Geralt talks to himself, taking the investigation forward. But that is just one of the 100 different quest types. Monster contracts, fetch quests, quests that are narrative focused, quests that are decision based. It is varied, and not to mention, each of those quests has a completely different non-generic story behind it. Witcher 3 is maybe the best at this and Crimson Desert is average at best. It's not even a competition. Mission structure and the main plot goes to The Witcher 3. Crimson Desert doesn't have a narrative focus, it's not that kind of a game, and that is completely fine. But gameplay has to make up for it. Pearl Abyss are ambitious for sure. There are 1,000 gameplay elements here. Combat and puzzle solving is what you will do most of though. I'm not big on puzzle solving in games and I am not a fan of the puzzles here. These puzzles aren't clever, they aren't logic based, they rely on magical abilities that the game will keep vague to make it like the puzzle is a real thinker. It's almost never smart, it's just that you don't know what magical abilities are capable of. You'll be holding a lantern and looking at ghosts for a good portion of the main plot. It's not creative or engaging. Investigating mechanics are almost always a little wonky in games. LNOR is still the best in this regard for me. But here it's not even investigating. You're just looking at ghosts, and because the writing is so average, you're gonna zone out and wait for the game to give you the next quest objective. Raw exploration where you are on your horse just looking at the world. The game is so much fun. Combat does get better over time, you learn the mechanics, you adapt to the slight delay, and combos and finishers are brutal, and even now they are satisfying. So while there are many gameplay elements, combat and exploration are the only worthwhile mechanics in my opinion. Witcher's gameplay also isn't the most fluid, but on higher difficulties it becomes a thinking man's game. Especially combat. The first time I played this, I loved combat. Absolutely zero complaints. Now 11 years later, I can see why people had complaints. But even now you will have fun if you use all the mechanics at your disposal. Just don't rely 100% on sword fighting. Roach is the most infamous video game horse just because of how bad horseback riding is. But it was mostly funny bad. It never got frustrating, for me at least. While Witcher didn't reinvent any gameplay mechanics, it's functional and it was great for its time. In my opinion, The Witcher 3 is the better game easily. Combat Crimson Desert wins. On first glance, the world of Crimson Desert looks better, but once you start exploring, it just doesn't live up to the expectations. The story was Witcher 3's strength, so it's not even a contest there. Puzzle mechanics in Crimson Desert don't appeal to me, but maybe they do to you. In that case, you might have a lot of fun with the game. Everything else is pretty good. Combat is fun, the world is still pretty good, just don't mind the plot. If you want to see The Witcher 3 compared with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, click the video on screen. For now, like, comment and subscribe. If you enjoyed this one, I am sure you will love future videos as well. Thanks for watching and have a great day wherever you are.